level of knowing English. IELTS is also about understanding the structure of the test and being able to take into consideration all the aspects of the test in order to get the maximum score possible. So, everyone is probably who is going to pass IELTS dreaming about the score, which is 9.0, which is maximum. Minimum is considered like 1.0, and there is a scale of understanding what is this associated with. It's like no general understanding of basic notions of English, and so on and so on. What is 2.0, what is 3.0, etc. But this is not the very important thing for today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about different thing, but score system will be discussed as well. So let's say the target for everyone, to be optimistic of course, and to try to get higher score, is 9.0, which is maximum. And this is an average score for 4 sections of IELTS. So, as you are going to pass IELTS, you're going to have listening section, then you're going to have reading section, writing, and usually, which is a separate day, is going to be your speaking. For each part, you usually get your personal score. For example, 7.0 for listening, 6.5 for reading, 6.5 here, and let's say speaking, which is 7. So, and then you're going to have your band score, which is going to be the average with taking into account all the scores of all 4 sections. Now a little bit more about each section. As I mentioned, first 3 things are going to be passed. First 3 aspects are going to be passed during usually first day of the test, and speaking is going to be your second day of passing the test. Why? Because of course you need a lot of concentration here, and it is very difficult to pass all the material in these 3 formats, and after that to be fluent, optimistic for speaking, and so on. Speaking is the part which is taking you not that long time as each of other sections. It's much shorter, but usually this is the section which is difficult for people who can speak fluently English as a second language. So, what are the, let's say, what are the criteria and what are the limits for time for each section? Listening is going to have 4 sections, which means you are going to listen to 4 different conversations or separate audios. They can be devoted to some complying, let's say, thematics, but in general, all 4 sections are different. For example, section 1 could be some conversation between the receptionist and person coming to the reception. Second could be related to some, that can be actually the monologue, the speech of one person. And third and fourth are going to be devoted, are going to be of a different thematics at all. So, sections 1 to 4 are going to have the specific lengths. Each of them is having 10 questions, which you're going to do while you're going to listen the audio only once. This is a very important thing which you need to understand, because you can't have a chance to listen for the second time. So, 10 questions for 4 sections is going to be totally 40 questions. Each audio is going to last about 6.5 minutes. So in total, you are going to have about 24-26 minutes of audio, plus you are going to have 10 minutes to to transfer your answers into your answer sheet. You're having the example, the sample page for the answer sheet, which is for reading. Actually, the sample answer sheet for listening looks approximately the same, and you can see the list of 40 questions you're going to answer, and for each of answer you have specific space. As you can see already from your answer sheet, you're not having a lot of space, which means there are limits, and this is very essential thing to understand, that limits are maximum 3 words, or let's say words and but you can have shorter limits indicated for you in each specific task. So 4 sections, 40 questions, 6.5 minutes per section, which is totally 26 minutes, plus 10 minutes for transferring your answers into the answer sheet. If you see the sample of question worksheet, you're going to see the beginning of the section 1. This is the example. You're going to have several different types of tasks which are given for each specific section. It means you're not going probably to do just test or like multiple choice questions. You're going to have sentence completion, filling the gaps, matching, classification, etc. There are totally 10 types of questions, both for listening and for reading. And this is part of our training as well, to understand each specific task. If you understand what is each task about, you're going to save the time, be able to follow the correct algorithm, which gives you the opportunity to give the correct answer. So, reading. Reading is I forgot to mention about the time, yes. So, total we calculated that we are going to have about 36 minutes. So, in totally, it's usually calculated as listening part taking you 40 minutes for working. After it, you switch to reading section. Reading is going to have 3 passages, which means like you're going to have 3 separate texts. But this is if we are talking about academic format. If we are talking about general format, we will talk about this later. So I will identify here academic. Some things are going to be the same for academic and general, some things are going to be different. Later I will tell you the difference between academic and general format at all. So, if you're talking about academic, which is more, let's say, it's necessary for those who are going to study abroad, work abroad as well, so mostly for educational purposes. So you are going to have 3 texts you're working, and each text has, let's say, 12, 14 questions. So in total, you're going to have 40 questions for all your tasks for reading. And again, you are already having the sample of answer sheet. You are going to work with answer sheet as well, filling the specific space for each specific question, and you're going to have different type of information to be filled. So depending on the type of task you're doing, you're going to have probably letter as an answer, or phrase as an answer, or words or number as an answer, and it is the thing indicated in each specific type of task. So 40 questions here, 40 questions here, and already you're having 40 minutes, and here you're having 60 minutes in total. Which means that each text is going to be your 20-minute work. Texts are actually given in the order of coming from the easiest one to the most difficult. So, I would say that you better consider the time as 15, 15, 30. So you better keep longer time period for the last text, because it's going to be the most difficult one. And later I'm going to tell you about the reading approach, which people confuse a lot. People think that reading section is about reading the text, but actually it is not at all. In reading, people need to analyze the text information they are given and follow the algorithm for doing the task in a correct way. If you are going to start reading the 3 passages you're given, each of them is going to be about like 1 A4 format page, 2 pages per text. You will never manage to read 6 pages and do all the tasks following your time frame. So you need to understand from the very beginning, so reading, let's keep it like this. It's not about reading the texts, it's about reading and analyzing tasks and getting the information you need from the text you're working with. Writing. Writing is the third format you're having during your Ielts passing. And writing is having 2 types of tasks. Or 2 tasks, yes. Task number 1. You're going to be given some visual information, charts, graph, diagrams. Or if it's general, usually you're going to be given like sample of the letter you're going to write to some person. You're going to be given 20 minutes for this type of task, and you're going to write about 150 words. Task number 2 is going to be 40-minute work and 250 words. So, which means you're going to be given twice longer time period for this and almost twice more words which are required for this text. This is the very, very basic information, brief information about the structure. So, if you analyze the first day, which is usually 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, yes, listening, reading, and writing is going to be your first day. You are going to have a work of about like about 3 hours of work with all 3 sections, and this is your, let's say, 75% of work. The first part, which is speaking, is going to be your day 2. Sometimes when people are having computer version of Ielts, they haven't speaking the same day. But actually this is very, very rare, and this is mostly for those cases when it's not the sponsor like British Council who is taking the test, but some smaller schools who invite test commission examinators, who invite examinators for controlling of Ielts passing. But the correct version is this is day 1 and this is day 2, when you can be fresh and brave to go for your speaking as well. So, speaking, day 2. Speaking is going to have 3 sections. Section 1 is going to be the set of questions which are easy for answering. These are questions of the general knowledge, general experience you're having in your life, more about the culture of your country, some political things, some geographical descriptions, etc. Some easy questions you can answer at once without preparation. Let me say. Easy questions with shorter answers required. Section 2 is going to be, let's say, planned answer, where you're going to have one task which is more about flashbacks or some memories of yours, associations with some perfect things or things you like, which you are going to describe according to the plan given to you. So if you see the sample, section 1 usually has topic in the beginning, For example, sports, or game, or hobby, geography, something which gives you a general idea of what you're going to be asked about. And usually, of course, examinators are not coming deep into the topic, let's say, not dive into it, because the basic idea is just to melt ice, to make you start speaking, having conversation with them, and after that you're going to have more difficult questions to be asked. So section 2 is about having a specific plan. Usually you need to speak out during 1-2 minutes where you demonstrate following the plan and telling all you can, describing with all the emotions and details of information, some, let's say, notion from your past, like the perfect restaurant you ever been to, or your first experience of swimming, which is more about, of course, specific tenses to be used. Usually it's about past simple or present simple to be used, mostly past. And the crucial thing is to follow the plan. If you mix the points of your speech, that makes person understand that you didn't understand the approach of task 1, section 2, sorry. So, section 3. Section 3 is the most difficult one. Section 3 is more about the analytics. Section 3 is about comparisons, going deeper into the topic. It's more about giving you arguments for or against things, so pros and cons, two sides of a coin. And here you are usually given the questions which can't have one answer only, which means the opinions differ and you should demonstrate at least 2 versions of the opinion, probably your personal opinion and opinion of some other people around, which makes your answer more complete. So section 3 is about let's say think deeper. Questions. So as I mentioned, analytical, yes, but these questions are going to require following the algorithm of argumentation. So you give your statement, you describe your idea, you give your points of why your opinion is as follows, and you need to give examples as well. So if here you just don't think about examples, you just speak up, you tell, you share, it's more like telling a story. Here it's more about your past experience description, but here it's more like debating, where people try to demonstrate different opinions on the point which is, let's say, significant for community and so on. Usually speaking takes you about 60 minutes of passing together with preparation, which makes this section the shortest, while others are 40 minutes, 1 hour, yes. This one is the shortest, but it gives you 20% of your score, and it's very important here to provide some features of your speech, like fluency, using some vocabulary, academic vocabulary, following the plan of answer, following the criteria of each section, and so on, which you are going to be told about.